What's the amplitude of this function? 3. Again, that negative out front does what? It's a reflection. Great job. That negative makes it reflect over the x-axis. But remember, we deal with that later. We don't start with the reflection. We start with just amplitude and then the length of the period. The amplitude would just be 3 because that's the a value out front. And then the period, the equation is 2 pi over b. That's going to be true for sine and cosine. And then the length of the period comes from plugging in that 1/2 for the letter b. For the sake of time, we're going to skip frequency today. It's going to, we're going to have to keep change flip and make it into just a 4 pi. So I erased it, but on the board the other day, I told you one way to do this is you can just start at 0, plug it in, then 4 pi would be your ending of your period, and then you could do middle, 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 and just plug them and chug them from there. But I think it's a little, I like to work with it this way a little bit more. I would rather do this. So my beginning would be 0. Does my end stay on this graph or not? It doesn't. So we kind of got to come out here and put 4 pi. That's my end. Because again, the length of the period is 4 pi. Then my middle would be what? 2 pi. Great job. My next middles would be pi and 3 pi. So now the difficult part is where am I putting my x's in my graph that I'm working in up here? Okay, that's where it gets hard. So I would draw the parent function just to get a little bit of experience. Remember, so the parent function of cosine starts up 1, ends up, and then perfectly in the middle, it's down. And then the two middles from there are hitting the x-axis. So it's got that half of a hill, a full valley, and half of a hill to make your 5 points to make your full period, full cycle. Okay. Now, so if that started up 1, how high should I start right now? Up 3, because that's my period length. Yes, we're going to reflect it, but again, we just are dealing with the amplitude and period first. So I'm going to end or start up 3. I'm going to end up 3. And then the middle point, should that be up 3 on the x-axis or down 3? Take a second, talk to your partners. Yeah, that was my bad. The x's, again, what you're supposed to talk to your partners about, that should have been at 2 pi. That's my bad. All right. So should it be up 3 on the x-axis or down 3? Down 3. Great job. Again, we are going to have to reflect, but we're just trying to get that basic shape to it. Then at pi, where should it be hitting? It should be hitting at the, you're good, at the x-axis. And then at 3 pi, the x-axis. Remember, we're using x's for just amplitude and period because then when I shift or reflect, it makes my life a little bit easier. If you just use dots, I guarantee you it's going to get all like, which ones do I connect? I'm not sure. So I have to reflect it. Do I have to do anything else after I reflect it? There's no +1, there's no +2, there's no +7. So all I have to do is reflect. That first x was up 3. Now it's down 3. Do you reflect them if they're stuck on the x-axis? The output is 0, so multiplying 0 by a negative is still 0. Good job. So I'm going to put a dot right there. This x down here needs to get reflected up. I usually always denote a reflection by a flat line like that. The next x-intercept stays, and then the last one has to get reflected down. So now I'm going to connect this half of a valley, a full hill, and half of a valley to get my 5 points to make my full period.